today. Hashtag Me Too. Hashtag Women's March. Hashtag Silence Breakers. And it's sad in a way. But I deeply think if we fight the dragon, we become the dragon. Because what we fight becomes us. We need to go deeper, layer by layer by layer by layer, and ask ourselves, how can we women leaders walking the sacred in the time that is so light and so dark? But first, let you tell you my story. And I ask you seriously to ask your heart if what I'm going to tell you is true, because it's going to challenge your mind, as it did mine, by the way. When I was 24 years old, in the darkest night of my soul, I really wanted to jump off that planet. My youth was not easy, and my childhood neither. But there, in that darkest night, there it happened. A splash of light exploded in my room, and that light filled every single corner with love. That light spoke, and I immediately knew that was Jesus. God knows how I knew that. He took my soul far, far, far away to a place that I would call my heaven. And I experienced with him, because he showed it to me, that I dreamed this life in heaven like I did with every other life, as a conscious dreamer. He showed me and made me remember 17 years of my future in this lifetime. He showed me things I would do, people I would meet, and I knew I had a destiny. When I came back into this body, into this room, and something happened, it was like you would uncork a bottle, and I exploded and was a bottle of pink champagne for 2 weeks. Bubbling, bubbling, bubbling love. Beautiful love. I would like to have this feeling every day, but after 2 weeks it was done. But it convinced me, because I had many downs. You have to convince me hard to believe something, even if it's Jesus. But this love was cosmic love, and I felt it in my body, in my aura, and everywhere. So beautiful. It took me 17 years to unplug this destiny. Then he came back. He left me alone for 17 years. And he came and said, write down my real stories. You've been there from the beginning to the end. Me not remembering anything. He made me write 3 books. And I promise you, with every page, I would not know what the next page would tell me, because I did not know. But page by page, I remembered, and I remembered. And what I remembered was a little bit different what the usual stories about Jesus and all the woman around it was. First, my Mother Mary was my mentor. She was my spiritual mentor. Jesus and Mary Magdalene were lovers. She was not his whore. There were many women around Jesus. He was a feminist, and he helped us to rise. And he did not die on the cross, because the ones who loved saved him, and the story continued. And I had a really hard question here, because I think the universe does not waste anything. Why do I have to remember those stories? Why do we need them today? And I think it's 2 things. First, to remember the real stories, and on the other hand, how we can use them today, because the universe does not waste anything. Today, many women ask, who was the real Mother Mary? Who was the real Mary Magdalene? And I can understand why, because those women were saints embodied. They were not heavenly deities not touching the ground. They walked the talk, and they were persecuted and denied, and still they were there. They were real women. Their stories was overwritten by the church, but as I remember them, they were leaders, worldly and spiritual leaders of these days. So what can women today and leaders learn from that? And I think the gospel of feminine leadership is going to be rewritten by all of us. I'm just going to start with the ideas that I think that feminine leaders, and you're all leaders, need mostly today. The first thing is this world and the answers of this world, of the duality, is limited. So where do we get the answers and solutions from that we need today? It's very simple. What all the great souls, the grand souls did, connect with the divine. Build your own relationship with the divine and ask, and answers will be given. Mary Magdalene was my best friend. I was on the boat when we had to get out of the country after the crucifixion. And when I looked at her belly, I knew she's pregnant. She didn't tell anybody, but I knew. We had to flee to South France in a little house. And I was there when she gave birth to little Sarah, the daughter of Jesus. In that loneliness and sacredness of that night, we only did one thing. Praying to him who was in the Himalayas. Jesus, listen. Here's your daughter, your flesh and blood. You cannot stay away. Come back. And we meant it. That was our power. It took him weeks to come back. But one day in the morning when we came out, he sat there under the tree. And I watched my friend Mary Magdalene walking towards him, offering him his child the first time. I counted the instants, every one of them. It took him weeks to come back into this body because he was very etherical, to become a human again and eat. And we started to build a new community. But for her, it was not enough. She was struggling inside. She was struggling, and she didn't tell anybody. But one night she left the house and she ran away, and I had the feeling she would run away and never come back. And I followed her. We didn't talk a word because she had her own conversation with her own God. I just let her be. We slept under a tree, and when we woke up, she said, "Let's go back. It's okay." So we walked back, and when she entered that house, she fell on her knees in front of him, and she said, "Marry me." And he said, "Yes." She hunted the Son of God, and she won. That was who she was. A wild, fierce, courageous, brave woman with a heart that would fill the universe. But she had to ask God because she didn't know if she deserves it. But what can we learn from her today as feminine leaders? First, if you don't know, ask the divine. The answers will come. Use your diaries, use your dance, use your hikes, use your meditation, and whatever your connection with the divine is, build it your own. Build your own connection with the divine. I do it when I go to bed. I send my quest to this universe, and I usually get my answers. I may not like them, but they usually take me out of hopeless situations. And that is what we need as feminine leaders, new solutions. And second, the great idea there, what she did is, don't go into activism when you don't have the divine power in your back, because that is a game changer. You cannot come from a weak place and win. You have to have this power in your back, and then you can go and win. second idea is, we all know wherever we go, we find broken worlds everywhere. I think the new mantra that women have to integrate is the mantra to ask, what needs to be healed here, wherever we go? What needs to be healed here? And I have the feeling that our society mixed up two things, because healing is a beginning, not the end. We have exchanged that. Healing is a beginning, and then we can enter wholeness. In Jesus' times, we were highly educated healers. We learned from the Essenes, we learned from the Ephesus woman, we learned from the order of Isis, and we knew how to heal ourselves. We knew how to heal our people, our community, the wounded ground. And I think it's time to do that again today. As a feminine leader, first heal yourself. You cannot be a leader with a broken system. You cannot lead with a broken heart. And then come out and heal your environment, your team, your people, your family, your society, your village, whatever. Heal your environment. And then come out and tell your story and walk your story. That's how we are today. And go and learn from the shamans, the wisdom keepers, the healers. They are there. And bring it into your leadership and in your families, because it's so needed. Woman, we have forgotten we are the healers of this world. And last not least, how do we fight the dragon? I would say, imagine the highest vision for every person and every situation. When Mother Mary was under the cross, do you know how she bared the pain that this world would present her? Nothing would keep her away to connect with the divine and envision her son to survive. And he did. She was our vision holder. And it was so strong that she succeeded. Women have forgotten the highest power we have is imagination, vision, and dreaming. This is why they pollute us with false dreams and marketing. That's a tactic. But we need to detox that. We need to purify this ability. And can you imagine if we do that collectively, to dream into being our great leaders of this world, to dream connected with the divine, a new society, a new world, new families, whatever we dream into reality? We need to remember that women are vision holders. Since the beginning of time, we hold the vision for our family. We hold the vision for our society. We hold the vision of our businesses and whatever we create in this world. Women are vision holders. And I would like to add a story of mine. That was not in the program because I dreamed it last night. When Jesus was on the cross, I was holding him with all my love because I could not imagine what they did to him. His blood was running down his face, and I was just there holding him with all my love. But there came the moment where he said something and I heard it. I was so close, I heard it. He said, God, why did you leave me alone? And my whole world broke apart. Because the only thing that I always could rely on was that God. Because the monsters out there, they were craving for blood. But he opened his eyes and he looked at me and he said, inside there was this conversation. God is not outside anymore, it's in us. It's in here. And this is what I want to give you as feminine leaders. Don't pray to the universe. Pray to that source because it's in here. Love it so hard. Love it so hard because this is where we create from. This source gives us the power to create our dreams, to create everything. But you need to awaken this source of oneness, because when we look into the universe, they know now there was one moment, just one thing that created everything. Call it God, call it whatever you like. But this is there, but it's not outside, it's in here. This is the power we need to be the leaders who we are, because this is the power that will give us the power to really create those dreams we have in us. Hashtag, they will not override our stories anymore. Okay. I'm on my way, sister. I listen to your wisdom as you listen to mine. As the feminine awakens, the healing of this world awakens too. Thank you.